This morning I woke up to a temperature of -28 with the wind chill. It's the middle of February and it feels like spring is never going to arrive. On YouTube, my page is flooded with people posting videos about starting to plant in their garden and starting seeds. Most of these videos are coming out of England, where they have a gardening zone of 6 to 9. Where I live here in Eastern Canada, I have a gardening zone of 4, which means I won't be seeing bare ground free of snow until about April, and I won't be planting anything in the ground until the end of May. So we got a ways to go. So here are a few ideas on some gardening activities that you can start right now to tide you over until springtime. It is way too early to start planting seeds. I have made that mistake before, gotten excited around this time of year and started planting them inside the house in my sunroom. This never works for me. Even perennials, which don't have a specific time that they need to get planted into the ground, they will grow too big before the snow even melts. So I have to repot them several times, and I just don't have the space in my house when all these perennials are filling up bigger and bigger pots. And I don't have enough light. Even though I have a sunroom, it just isn't the amount of light that plants need indoors to put on a lot of growth. So these plants get really spindly as they stretch out, looking for some sunshine, and it makes for a weak plant. Vegetable seeds at this time of year are a dead loss because they do have a specific amount of days until they're ready to harvest. And for most of them, that date comes even before the snow has melted. Starting seeds this early is really a waste of money and time unless you have the proper setup with artificial light in your house. So this time of year, I must content myself with perusing through all my seed catalogs that start arriving in February. And every year I like to try to grow at least 2 different kinds of flowers that I've never grown before. Last year it was Tithonia and Morning Glory, and if you haven't seen my videos on those, please check them out on my channel. And this year I'm thinking I'm going to plant zinnia. They look really beautiful and they make a nice cut and come back again to flower. And I think I will plant salvia under my roses, as I've heard they do really well together. So then I have to start thinking about color schemes, and usually I just end up picking a color that I'm attracted to. We'll see how it goes. Do you have a good way that you're organizing your seeds? This has been my method for the past several years. I just shove all my unopened packets of seeds into this Ziploc bag. This isn't a great method. I don't know how long each of them have been there. They fall out. There's a few seeds sitting there at the bottom. I knew I wanted to get a new storage method for my seeds. So what I did is I ordered a container from Amazon that has been all the rage for gardening YouTubers. A nice plastic bin filled with smaller plastic containers. This is made for photographs. Inside are 16 little 4x6 containers. These boxes are the perfect size for seed packet storage, and I like to store my seeds in the same packet that they come in because they have all the information written on the back of the seed packet. This information I need every single year, so I don't like to separate the seeds from their original packet. It's really nice because you can see into them and I can label them, and the mice won't get into them if I store them in my shed, and they won't get wet. At this time of year, I always print out a copy of my property blueprint, and I dream up how I want the landscape to look with gardens. To be fair, I've never actually followed through with any of these plans that I put on paper. I always just get inspired in the springtime and start digging at some location in my garden, and it kind of makes itself organically. But I still go through the motions of wintertime garden design, and I find that I learn a lot from this process, even though I don't actually use the finished plans, because I've spent so much time researching, watching videos, reading garden books, listening to professionals in the area of garden design, that I get a lot of really useful information that I wouldn't otherwise No. This year I know my backyard needs to be tackled as we put in a new septic system and the backhoe completely wrecked our backyard. It is now just mud and tractor prints everywhere. So now is our chance to really plan that backyard. Until now, I've been completely flummoxed as what to do with this space as it's so large. My husband and I like to do all the work by ourselves, but there's a limit to what we can do. So this can make for a fun challenge. It's something we do need to start thinking about now. Compared to some, I really don't have a lot of house plants. The plants that I do have are mostly tender perennials that I bring in the fall and grow on throughout the winter inside my house. My favorite plant to bring indoors are geraniums. What I do is I pot them up, give them a good haircut, and water them sparingly throughout the winter. At this time of year, I'll start slowly feeding them, and in March, they put on the most beautiful display, just geraniums for weeks. And it's so welcome to get all that color in the house after having such a long, bleak winter. I also bring in ornamental grasses. You can see behind me an example. This one's 2 years old and it's really big. That's another benefit you get from bringing in tender perennials. They are fully mature. So when you bring them out into the yard again to plant them or in their pot, they're already big and give such a nice impact. When I buy a geranium at the garden center, they're still very small and it takes a long time to fill up a planter. I also bring in my container rose and it blooms almost all winter if I keep feeding it. Why throw them on the compost pile just because winter's coming when I can easily move them in the house? Even if you live in a climate that is cold, get outside. Get outside every single day and enjoy it. It's winter. It can't be anything else than what it is, and that's okay. I go for a walk, thanks to my dogs, at least once a day, usually twice, every single day. It doesn't matter how cold it is, if it's a snowstorm, if it's raining. I have boots and jacket for my dog and we hit the road. It's so beautiful to watch the changes in the weather, and even looking at the trees swaying in the wind gives me an energy similar to that of working in my garden. It's not the same energy, it's a more relaxed vibe. Winter is a time for relaxation. Think of how much energy you expend in the springtime getting your garden ready. You can be working every single day from dawn till dusk with projects outside your house. So I try to remember that because sometimes in the springtime I start to feel overwhelmed that there's all this work to do. At this time of year, I also delight in watching the birds and the squirrels out in the trees and at the feeders. To me, it's simply amazing that there are plants and animals that can survive outdoors in this weather when it is so bitterly cold. And I feel good having my feeders filled up with sunflower seed, helping them stay warm throughout the winter. And I know that they will give back to me in the spring and summertime by hopefully eating all the caterpillars off my rose bushes. So it's a really nice relationship to have with the natural world. It's the middle of February. That means there's about 100 days until I can start planting in my garden. But I will be able to get out into the yard before then to start working on projects. What I find now as I get older is that time passes so quickly, and I figure I might as well enjoy every single day instead of always longing for something in the future. I'm going to enjoy this season. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.